Hello. Vivian, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I'll make you a bit louder.
Okay, I'm going to be
Yeah, it turned into a bigger feat in a short period of time. It was good. It's one of those things you keep expanding. We're all the nuggets, we're all missing gems. By putting it out there, they can be added. Do it and die kind of project.
Hi, Vivian.
Hi, Martin.
So this is the start of the break, so don't be worried that there's an empty lecture theatre here. So Jameson is just over here.
Hi, Jameson.
So we can hear you loud and clear. Hopefully you can hear us as well.
I can hear you perfectly, yeah. I'll just be leaving on the camera at the beginning, and then I'll be moving on to sharing.
I'm just going to turn the camera this way for now, so you can see me. Do you want? So I take it you're going to share your screen.
Yes.
Do you want to test that now?
Yeah.
Sure? Okay.
Just one more session.
Go ahead. I'll let you decide. I'm happy to. Just one call for me, so.
Hi there, folks. Is anyone cold in here? Would anyone like the temperature up in this room? Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm getting yeses.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay. I will try.
At least, Vivian, you don't have to worry about a cold room here. Hi there.
I stick my head in.
Hello. Martin? Hello.
Hi there.
I'm having some problems sharing my screen. The application is open. It's in a PDF format. And for some reason, when I try to share it, this is what happens.
I think it's a case of you when you share the screen, you'll get that kind of infinity window. But all right, so
can you see that?
I can see that. Yeah, but do you just have it as a PDF version?
Yes, because I was told that it was better to share it in a PDF version, but I can share it in also in a PowerPoint version. Is that better?
I think maybe because your application window is in full screen, are you able to go full screen with that? It's just a bit small here.
Okay, just a second. Let me just see where. Do I do that on Google Hangouts?
Yeah, I think if you stop sharing the screen, and then if you share your entire think they call it entire monitor. If you share your entire monitor.
Okay, where would that be in?
So it's just when you go back into the share settings, when you present to everyone, I think is the terminology they use.
Okay, but how do I go to the big mode here in the Google Hangout? I'm not very familiar with that.
I don't think it's possible to see both at the same time. So what usually people do is they start the Hangout just with their webcam, and then they'll share their entire screen and basically talk to their slides, not being able to see the Hangout. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Not sure. Audio is good. But,
I mean, if that's the best you have, I mean, it's better than in a room I was actually just in.
right.
Okay, let me see if this works.
My presentation to Google.
Do you have just a URL? Or?
I was gonna find it from Twitter because I just tweeted
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
One example has people who are interested in
Let me try something else.
the efficacy of higher education.
Do I need to log in? Yeah, maybe.
Go ahead. I've got a bit of a hack for this. I go back to this one.
Is that better?
No.
At Miller Jameson?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Is that better? Can you see that better?
Yep, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Is that good?
yeah, that's going to be readable. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Nice, Vivian.
So I'll stop sharing. You tell me. I can just leave this on now, but I won't be able to see any comments or any of that.
What we'll do is I'll get Jameson just to relay anything to you, or we'll just rather than using chat, we'll just use audio so we can talk to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then Vivian, we've got like if there's time for questions, we've got a video. We've got a microphone that we can pass around, so you should be able to hear people that way. What's the best? You want me to keep an eye? Yeah, I can try to keep an eye up here on what's going on if I see any questions come in virtually, because you think some people might join virtually?
Yes, that would be great, James. To do that.
All right.
That's great.
Okay. Yeah. It's so good to see you. I'm glad you could come.
Well, I wish I could be there with you, but
Well, that's all right.
I'm here remotely.
Yeah, you are, and that's been one of the calls and the conference was to have better virtual participation. So here we go. We're walking the walk. Nice.
Nice. So are you
And
happy?
look who's here. Honor to see you. It's Judith.
Oh, nice to see you. Nice to see all my folks from the country.
Nice to see you. Welcome.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing my camera now, share the screen. And when we're ready to go, let me know, please.
Sure, yeah, and you can turn off your camera if you don't want to be, because right now you're projected large at the front of the room, so if you want to, there you go. And so Judith, I don't know how you're going to do timekeeping. It's going to be hard to communicate to her. Better stay on time, okay, Vivian?
Okay. Yeah.
You know Sarah's going after you, and Sarah can go on and on and on and on.
Oh, no, I already. It will not be over.
to do it, you know? It doesn't matter date. Is it task?
For many strikes.
Yeah.
For many
You know, we've got graveyard shifts. This is the last session of the entire conference, so we'll be lucky to get half a dozen, I'm sure.
Everybody's probably really tired.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it will be up on YouTube later on, so anybody who wants to is interested in watching later. I actually had the time wrong. I thought it was going to begin at 3:30, but that's okay, no problem.
Yeah, it could be better early than late, right?
Right. It's like difficult because you guys are 4 hours ahead of me, so I'm
4 hours.
Yeah, and according to the schedule here, it was supposed to be. I looked at it; it said 3:30. Oh, okay, 3:30. So let me know, Jameson, when I can begin. Okay.
Okay.
But we don't publish your research.
Well, 15 minutes. Does that work for you, Vivian? 15 minutes to present, 5 minutes question and answer?
Yes. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, everyone's still chatting and they're getting tea and coffee.
But it's clear when we got there, and folks hear me.
It's promising, right?
This was my word.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I said, if I was people who
That's what we're thinking, yeah. I think especially you have to have it. Will happen.
I was really.
Yeah. Why are you not letting me? What on earth? Like, what on earth? What can you possibly do? Okay. All right, I think Judith is going to go ahead and start it off, Vivian.
Okay.
We'll just have to, yeah, and I'm sure people will start to funnel in, so take it away.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vivian Bessa. I'm going to chair this session, and we have one of the presenters this afternoon. And this being the last session, we are really lucky to have our first presenter, Boeing Basham, that is our own GM alumni, Dr. Vivian, who is going to share with us professional development guidance for OER, a case study of Brazilian fundamental education public school teachers. Welcome, Vivian.
Okay, thank you, Judith, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. I know this is the last time you all
It would be wonderful, Vivian, to if you can turn your camera on. We'd love to see you too.
Oh, okay. Then I'd have to stop slideshow. So I will turn on my camera at the end. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
So I just want to give a brief introduction to those of you who don't know me. I'm a distance education, open education consultant, instructional designer, and researcher at Connection, which is a company I own here in São Paulo, Brazil. And I'm very pleased here to be here today presenting to you the study I did with Brazilian fundamental education public school teachers. So this is what I'm hoping to today, and I think we'll have enough time. I'm going to be giving you some background information on the study, the purpose of the study, the guiding research questions, contribution of the study, the methodology and research design that I used, the findings, and how these findings yielded the professional development guidelines for OER update. And finally, I hope to address some practical implications for professional development. So OER currently presents two goals of the Brazilian National Education Plan, which is focused on increasing the national marks for the Index of Basic Education Development for the fundamental education cycle, which is equivalent to grades 1 through 9. And strategies to increase this index include improving teacher training, disseminating educational technologies, and providing digital technology resources for pedagogical use. And OER can be used in all of these strategies. In addition, in 2011, the State of São Paulo agreed that all educational resources must be licensed under CC license. More recently, in May 2018, our Ministry of Education published a new ordinance that establishes criteria for acquisition of educational resources aimed at basic education, produced with the Ministry's financial education. So this new policy did not writing and defending my thesis, but it's something that is very good for the country. However, in the literature, there is a lack of analysis regarding experience with open digital content and OER, and there are also diverse barriers and challenges that impact OER uptake for the average K-12 public school teacher, which include readiness for change and innovation, possessing computer and ICT literacy, and institutional support, to name a few. Therefore, the provision of professional development is imperative to ensure effective practices. And at the time that I was doing my study, there were no ready-made professional development programs for OER uptake within the public school sector. Just during last semester, 2018, the government began an effort to offer professional development of the Open University. So this study was at addressing this by undertaking graduate Brazilian fundamental education public school, the pilot is implemented face-to-face OER development program, ODP, for the teachers who participate in this study and measure the effectiveness in terms of awareness raising strategy, content taught, and instructional approaches utilized to track a set of evidence-based OER guidelines and contents of professional development for Brazilian fundamental education public school teachers. The study was guided by 3 research questions and what factors influence fundamental education public school teachers adopt and use of OER in professional practice. What, if any, professional development play in teaching OER adopting decisions. And the third, based on the research findings of the journal question 1 and 2, what are the guidelines in this context for professional development for Brazilian education? So this study basically contributes to the excellent literature on OER by gaining insights of the environment for OER implementation uptake within K-12. As some of you may know, the excellent literature in K-12 is very scarce on OER implementation uptake. By raising awareness and building knowledge on OER use in this context, particularly in the Brazilian K-12 public school system, and by providing a set of OER guidelines in the context of professional development for Brazilian fundamental education public school teachers. So this slide presents the methodology and research design used in this study. And I use a case study methodology. And the OER development course comprised of 5 face-to-face workshops. So during the first workshop, I basically provided the participants with an overview of what OER are, the 5 R's of OER, and what the face-to-face workshops would comprise. So during workshops 2, 3, and 4, I used design thinking framework, and 30 teachers participated in these workshops. And the design thinking framework, it addresses the needs of teachers who will implement innovation and the infrastructure that enables it. It is based on teachers' needs and local context, and it's a bottom-up, not top-down process, which was in line with my main objective because I did not want to impose OER adoption use in this context. So during workshop 2, I proposed the following problems to the participants. How can we use digital resources to improve our pedagogical practices? And in this context, digital resource refers to the use of OER, but also to the use of ICTs, which are perceived as an important avenue to OER use. So during workshop 2, teachers were asked to list their certs and doubts in regards to the problem proposed. During workshop 3, teachers were asked to list strategies and solutions in regards to certs and doubts they had raised in workshop 2. And during workshop 4, teachers were asked to come up with how to build a prototype of how they would overcome the challenges they had raised in workshops 2 and workshops 3. So data for design thinking workshops were analyzed using Warshauer's framework for effective use of ICTs. And this framework was a good fit for this study because it speaks to the need for literacy and competency when using ICTs, which I've already mentioned are an important avenue for OER use. And data for design thinking workshops were analyzed using a deductive coding approach with 4 main descriptive codes: physical resources, digital resources, human resources, and social resources. And finally, during the last workshop, the 5th workshop, focus groups were conducted to assess the overall effectiveness of the intervention. And data groups were analyzed using a generic inductive coding approach, which yielded 4 main categories or descriptive codes: interest and motivation, knowledge obtained, support obtained, and effective type of TPD in OER for teachers. So now I'd like to go over the findings for the design thinking workshops, which were aimed at answering research question 1. And in terms of human resource, the findings showed that teachers in this context, they lack basic technology or ICT skills, and they want formal long-term professional development to develop their ICT skills to use OER. The findings also showed that technology helps keep teachers updating their practices and engages students in the learning process. In terms of digital resources, the findings showed that teachers are already using the internet search for images, videos, and music to supplement instructional content, but they're not necessarily looking for OER because they know how to do so. Other factors such as accessibility, language-related issues, reliability of sites, and where to find quality material adversely impacts teachers' ability to use OER in this context. In terms of social resources, factors such as lack of time, lack of personnel, low salaries, only 1 computer teacher at the school, external websites which are blocked by administration, lack of vision, plan, and support from administration, and teachers feeling professionally undervalued by authorities also adversely impacts teachers' ability to use OER in this context. And finally, in terms of physical resources, factors such as obsolete equipment in teachers' room, computers and other multimedia equipment being available only in the computer lab, and poor Wi-Fi connectivity also adversely impacts teachers' ability to use OER in this context. Findings for the focus groups, which were aimed at answering research question 2, showed that for the categories interest and motivation, the teachers were interested in participating in the workshops due to its relationship with ICT skills. They were motivated to learn and reflect on new practices. However, the findings showed that upon completion of the ODP, the teachers still had misconception in regards to the 5 R's of OER. In terms of knowledge gain, new knowledge was gained because teachers before had never heard about or considered using OER in their professional practices. And findings also showed that there was a change in teachers' attitudes and conceptions with regards to OER use upon completion of the ODP. In terms of support obtained, support was limited to teacher participation only in the workshops. And when asked which incentives, policies, or other actions would provide further support for a professional development program in OER, the teachers mentioned factors such as increase in salary, the use of mobile phones for professional development, and better school infrastructure. And finally, in terms of effective type of TPD and OER for teachers, all teachers stated that they wanted hands-on professional development that teaches them step-by-step how to differentiate between open and closed resources and how to assemble and repurpose OER and ongoing facilitator support. So this kind of professional development should provide teachers with the necessary support for scaffolding engagement and in order to progressively lead them to empowerment and provide them with the autonomy and confidence required to learn about OER. So on this slide, you can see the TPD guidelines for OER uptake that show that different kinds of support are needed. And these guidelines come from the triangulation of the different sources of qualitative data. I know it's difficult to see them in this slide. In my thesis, I present them in a table format, which is but you can see I've left here the link to my thesis. So for now, we can go back to the guidelines. Just to give you a brief overview, the guidelines have been divided into 4 main factors: policy support, organizational support, infrastructure support, and professional development support. And under each factor are who are the recommended actors, what are the recommended actions, and how these actions can be taken. So basically, clear policies, organization, pedagogical support, and availability of proper tools stimulate and enhance engagement with OER in this context. So the professional guidelines that result from this study, they're not intended to be prescriptive. However, they can provide some direction for policymakers, teacher educators, or school administrators who wish to promote the adoption and use of OER in the Brazilian public fundamental education system. The guidelines can also be adapted to local needs and contexts, but more importantly, in order to achieve effective outcomes through the use of the guidelines, school administrators and teachers need to embrace the idea of using OER. So the guidelines begin with the policy support factors because the policy provides directives and rules the organizational, infrastructure, and professional development factors. Teachers with OER depends on clear policies that provides directives and rules for their adoption and OER and use. And ease of use with available infrastructure and tools and effective pedagogical support may enhance teachers' engagement with these resources in addition to stimulating their use. Although this study addresses an important gap on teachers' use of OER and the professional development required, more specifically in the Brazilian K-12 public school system, the integration and adoption of OER. I'm finished. I'm finished.
1 minute left, Vivian.
Okay, I'm finishing. So just going back here. So although this study addressed an important gap on teachers' use of OER and the TPD required, more specifically in the Brazilian K-12 public school system, the integration and adoption of OER impact teaching requiring emphasis on improving instructional strategies. As you can see on the picture on this slide, is a time-consuming, slow, gradual process. However, the introduction of OER can save costs for institution, and that is very important right now in Brazil, since we're going through a very deep economic recession, and be an important avenue for the much-needed innovation and change in the cultural mindset of teachers in this setting. So that basically wraps up my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I will now stop sharing my screen. And I'm open to your questions.
Well, Well done, Bill. Questions for Vivian? Questions?
Well, I've got one for you, Vivian. Jameson, again, good to see you and great to see the culmination of your project, and also really important for us to see more Global South context and K-12 context. There's just not a lot of that present here at the VR19 conference. In terms of getting these guidelines out and how to share them effectively, are you going to package them somehow, get it out of the dissertation format into some other kind of format?
Yes, in my thesis, well, thank you for your question. They've been published in a table format, and my thesis is open to anybody who would like to access. That's why I've included a link to it. I intend to soon publish an article, and of course, the article will include the guidelines. Unfortunately, I have not had time because since I defended my thesis, which was in April of last year, I have been working a lot. So, but yes, if you're interested, you can send me, you can Twitter me, you can find me on Twitter, send me an email, and I will send you my guidelines.
Very good, Vic. Any other questions for Vivian? There's none. Well done, Vic. We really appreciate you. Very appreciate it. Thank you very much, Vivian, for your time and for your wonderful presentation. Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you all for participating today. Great day. I will end the broadcast now. If there are no more questions, and anybody can contact me via Twitter or send me an email if you have any other questions. Thank you all.